name is Angie van Grunsven. I'm 54 years old and I work in an office. Officially, I'm still married to Gerald, but 5 years ago, Gerald went out to buy some cigarettes. And he hasn't come back yet. I should have expected it. Gerald didn't smoke. Obviously, it's quite lonely, but I do have my hobbies. Cycling, walking, cooking. I felt no need for a man in my life. That is, until I met Frank van Efferden. We met in the office restaurant. That must have been a month ago. He always had a beef croquette. I myself prefer veal croquette because it's softer and creamier. Those with beef are spicier. He told me this when we had already gotten acquainted, but I'm running ahead of my story. I was curious about him, so I asked my friend Will, "Will, do you know who that is?" "Yes," Will replied. "That's Frank van Efferden, from purchasing." "Oh," I said. "Has he been working here a long time?" "No," Will said. "Only for 3 years." One day I put on the naughty shoes and went over to his table. "Hello," I said. "I'm Angie van Grunsven. Angie, from accounting. Do you mind if I join you?" And before he knew what hit him, I was sitting at his table. "You must be Frank van Efferden," I said. "Yes," he said, "from purchasing." "Do you always have your croquettes like that?" I asked. "I always mash them up." "I like a solid croquette," he answered. And this sounded so manly to me that it aroused certain feelings in me again. "Why haven't I seen you here before?" I inquired. "Because I've become a widower only a month ago," he answered. "I used to bring my croquette from home, but I'm not that brilliant in the kitchen." "Neither was my husband," I said. "Are you also a widow?" Frank asked. "Yes," I said. "My condolences," Frank said. "Thank you," I said, "and the same to you." "And what do you do in your spare time?" I tried to change the subject. "Photography," Frank said. "Photography?" I asked. "Yes," Frank said. "Photography." "So, what do you photograph?" I wanted to know. "Jews," Frank said. "Jews?" I asked. "Yes," Frank said. "Jews. I take pictures of Jews." "Why Jews?" I asked in amazement. "Because they're rare," Frank said. "But where do you find them?" I asked. "Easy," Frank said. "In the street." "I've never seen a Jew up close," I said. "Come along with me," Frank said. "I'll show them to you." And so it happened. Next weekend we got on the train to Antwerp. I found it quite exciting. On the train, I read a book to get into the mood. Frank had brought 2 croquettes along, one for him and one for me. "Made them myself," he said. Train journeys are so romantic. We got rather intimate with each other. Antwerp. You really feel abroad down here. The mood is very different. People still will respect traffic lights, but not Frank. He went straight for it. I like a man who goes straight for it and knew his way about, you could tell. We went to look for the Jews. Where could they be? Frank was on a trail. We're getting warm, he said. Ah, there's one. And there's another. And there's another one. Frank got ready to photograph the Jews. Hush! We have to be quiet, he said. We might scare them. I found it very touching to see Frank indulging in his hobby. He was completely absorbed by it. A man should have a hobby, I believe. Otherwise, he might get restless and turn up bad ideas. Maybe if Gerald had a hobby, he wouldn't have gone out to buy cigarettes. When Frank was done taking his pictures, we went to a restaurant where they served clams. We had a pan put on the table, and another one, and another one. I like clams even better than croquettes, I said. But they need some mustard, Frank said. I offered to split the tab, but Frank would have none of it. A real gentleman. After dinner, we went for a breath of fresh air in the harbor. Frank pointed at the view across the water. Then I knew there was also a poetic side to him. Everything was hunky-dory. We said goodbye to that beautiful town at the Schelde and pledged to return soon. It had been a day well spent.